Law School Secrets Series 8. This topic is on crimes against the person and it's part 1. We're going to go through basic crimes up to homicide that are on the outline. So just want to say welcome and thank you for stopping by. I couldn't have this channel without your help and your participation. Thank you. And as always, I adhere to Gandhi's philosophy of being the change you wish to see in the world. I'm going to try to fill in the gaps where you may have missed in school or just reinforce what you learned. So here's some quick study messages. Law study requires that you're going to memorize these and you're going to synthesize and analyze the information. And so here we have a list of things that you might want to adhere to. Now, as always, your foundation is the criminal liability, the elements of the crime. And here's the outer list that we're working from. And as you can see, crimes against the person is written in red. And I'm going to go through assault, battery, mayhem, kidnapping, and rape. I'll do a little false imprisonment. And then I'm going to stop. The next one I'm going to do is going to cover homicide. So crimes against the person, we're going to start with assault. Now, assault, there's two types of assault. There's the threat of imminent harm that occurs when one places another in fear of imminent bodily harm or offensive touching. And then there's the attempted battery as assault. In other words, it's a failed attempt at a battery. And some states require present ability, and furthermore, the victim doesn't need to even be aware that there was an attempted battery. The person will be guilty of assault anyhow. And here's a couple cases that you might want to look at. So, attempt to frighten the victim will not suffice in Chapman. So, anyhow, assault. Either an attempt to commit a battery must be intentional, and some states have the present ability, and then the victim doesn't need to be aware. Now, if it's the other type of assault, that's the putting the person in fear of imminent harm or injury. There's three elements to that: intent to cause apprehension of harm, and in this case, the second type, or the other of the two, the victim must be apprehensive, and the conduct should be sufficient to cause reasonable apprehension. So now with battery, battery is the unlawful, willful, and offensive touching of a person of another. There's three elements to this: willful and unlawful, use of force or violence against the other. Now, attention, it can also be unintentional through negligent or reckless behavior. So, an analysis of the types of battery. Unintentional, you might not be liable if it's reckless disregard, if it's not reckless disregard or gross negligence. Involuntary movements, such as, say, like an epileptic seizure or a knee-jerk reaction, if you accidentally bump into somebody, you're not going to be charged with battery if you fall over or something. Now, there are instances where you know that you have epilepsy and you're not taking your medicine on purpose, then you might be held liable. So you have a duty to mitigate. Now, with the People versus James California court, they found the battery doesn't have to cause the injury. It doesn't even need to leave a mark for you to be guilty of it. Now, intent to commit a battery, even if you're not intending, if it's a natural consequence, you could still be guilty of it. Now, modernly, it often does require an injury and or offensive touching. Also, modernly, many states merge battery with assault into one crime. If you're asked to discuss under common law, separate out the assault and the battery. Yet if you're asked to discuss statutory law, that is state law, keep in mind that many states may merge it. See the Texas Penal Code and the Model Penal Code, MPC. Mayhem. Mayhem is battery causing great bodily harm, such as maiming, amputating, permanent disability, crippling, blinding, etc. Felony common law did not recognize aggravated assault and battery, so mayhem provided a way to penalize under felony mayhem for violent attacks that did not end in death, such as the disfigurement or disablement that mayhem carries. Now, MPC doesn't recognize mayhem, rather, this is categorized as aggravated assault. Now, kidnapping. Kidnapping, there's 5 elements to kidnapping in most states. First would be seizing the person. Second would be restraining or confining the person. Third would be unlawful carrying away of the person, otherwise known as exportation or exporting or secreting. 4 would be the use of threat, force, fraud, or deception. And 5 would be knowledge that the exportation of the person was unlawful by the perpetrator. Originally, only a misdemeanor prior to the Lindbergh baby case. This is where a guy that was found guilty, Mr. Hauptman, he climbed up a ladder in the home, put a note for a $50,000 ransom, took the baby, but the ladder broke and he fell down the ladder. The baby was missing for a long time, but they did find the baby dead. But it was only after Lindbergh gave $50,000 to the kidnapper. Anyhow, they changed the kidnapping laws, and since I think that was in the 30s or something, the 1930s. Okay, so kidnapping can vary by motive. You can have parental kidnapping where a non-custodial parent takes a child. There's different motives for kidnapping, and so sometimes they'll categorize them, according to the state. Okay, now under MPC, kidnapping, a person is guilty of kidnapping if he unlawfully removes another from his place of, I'm actually reading you what it says. From his place of residence or business, or a substantial distance from the vicinity where he is found, or if he unlawfully confines for a substantial period in a place of isolation with any of the following purposes: to hold for ransom or reward, or to shield or as a hostage, or to facilitate commission of any felony or flight thereafter, or to inflict bodily injury on or to terrorize the victim or another, or to interfere with the performance of any governmental or political function. Now, false imprisonment is similar to kidnapping. It has 4 elements instead of 5. It's the unlawful violation of liberty of another, confining or restraining, use of force, threat of force, fraud, deception, knowledge that the restraint is unlawful. Now, there's no exportation. In other words, the person is not moved from one location to another. Now, in states where there is no need for exportation in the kidnapping, this has been eliminated and the 2 crimes have merged. So some states, as previously discussed, states do vary in their definitions of the laws, but for common law, the purpose is there are 5 elements. Now, MPC states, false imprisonment, a person commits a misdemeanor if he knowingly restrains another unlawfully so as to interfere with substantially his liberty. Okay. Now, rape, here we go. This is the last crime I'm going to discuss against a person, and this is common law rape. It's unlawful sexual intercourse with a female without her consent, and traditionally it was by a person that's not the husband. And there must be penetration of the female for it to be considered rape. And traditionally, common law required that the defendant's not be it be someone other than the defendant's wife, and that was known as a spousal exemption. Now, modernly, spousal exemption is only available in a small handful of states. It's still on the books in some states. Now, many find lack of consent where the victim is drunk, unconscious, or drugged, either voluntarily or involuntarily. Now, fraud is another way that someone can be raped. For example, if a man lies to a woman to induce her or seduce her, he can be convicted of rape. For example, if a guy says, "Hey, I really love you, I've been in love with you, I'm going to get you a ring, we're going to get married." And she says, "Okay." And then later he's like, "Oh, I lied to you. I'm just using you. Oh, it was consensual." No, that's not consensual. That's fraud. Mistake. Now, this is where a guy forces himself on. It can be, actually, it can be a girl on a guy too. The laws have changed so that a guy can say that he was raped. That would be probably, there's different types. But anyway, and I'm not going to get into weird things like bestiality or child stuff. This is just straight up rape. Usually this is not tested, but you might need to be. Modernly, it can be either a male or a female, and MPC recognizes anal penetration as rape, which actually is sodomy, and that's where you can find that. And then, of course, statutory rape is a big one. They might test on that. Now, this is sexual intercourse with somebody that's underage. Now, this is a strict liability crime. So, an adult female or male can wind up having intercourse with a person underage. And even if the person underage lied to them, let's say, I think there was a teacher that Mary Jo Letourneau case. She had slept with one of her students and got pregnant. But anyway, okay, so that she went to jail for that, and I think so. But that this child didn't lie to her. She knew how old the child was. It doesn't matter. It's strict liability. But sometimes a girl could maybe sneak into a bar and she's 17 or 16, and the guy thinks she's 21, and she lies and says she's 21. The guy goes back and does something with her, and then later on he finds out she wasn't that age. He can be held and arrested as a sex offender for statutory rape. It's called rape even if it is consensual. Okay, so to be continued. We're going to be talking about homicide next time. More fun stuff, right? Not. Okay, so here's the references and the images, and I just want to thank you for stopping by. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. And comment if there's something you want me to elaborate on. Take care.